Davis on your right. Rodrigo, I believe it's Togores on the left. We'll get confirmation of his last name so we don't say that incorrectly for him and for you guys at home. Ad nauseam tendrils versus the Burninator.
Now, Rodrigo is, you see X and 1 right now, 6 and 1. He is in last place in tiebreakers. Jim, the best record amongst players with a draw.
Well, we'll see if things can break Jim's way. Again, you did mention, since we were right there on like the cut, it's going to be tough for an X1-1 to be able to make it.
Yeah. No, it's tough right now. Jim Davis is in 12th place. Rodrigo in 11th, so I think they're still going to have some things break their way.
Well, step one for Jim, I think he accomplished, which is being on the play.
Yes.
Well, it looks like he's on the play. It looks like it, since it looked like he was going to move forward. Okay, he's not. So he did not accomplish step one, which is he's on the draw. He did not win the die roll. However, Togores did. So we will start here. Just a swamp. Don't know if he has anything else to do this turn.
Looks like Rodrigo's on 6 cards.
Yeah, it looks like it might be a little bit lighter. Jim going to play a Bloodstained Mire, going down to 19. There's a mountain.
We get the classic matchup of black rituals against red rituals. 2 different storm decks, kind of.
Yeah, sort of.
One gets to space out over the course of several turns.
Yeah,
The other gets to do it all at once.
basically Storm that Jim's playing. Here's a Grim Lavamancer. Lion's Eye Diamond the draw here for Togores. Uh-oh. This is always horrifying. This could just be a boring old brainstorm. All right, it's a Ponder. Not the end of the world for Jim.
And I wonder if there's an incentive to do these lines of play more now than there used to be because of Eidolon. You just can't glut your hand and try to go off in one turn anymore.
Imagine if you waited to do it, it'd take 4.
Yeah, at least it's more dangerous. I don't know exactly what the nature of Rodrigo's hand is, so maybe he has to do this play regardless, but definitely the threat of Eidolon changes the way the Storm player needs to approach the matchup a little bit.
Mystery card. That's a Gitaxian Probe.
Oh, yeah, on the house.
There is an Eidolon, a Lava Spike, a Fire Blast, a Grim Lavamancer as well. So Togores is going to write that information down, and then he will draw a mystery card.
And now there's a lot of pressure on Rodrigo. You know, if he's got things like Lotus Petals or Lion's Eye Diamonds floating around in his hand, it becomes a lot more attractive just to cast them, give up some storm count down the line to make sure that the Eidolon does not kill you.
Another Lion's Eye Diamond. So it might be a situation now where he might just have to deploy the Lion's Eye Diamonds, which is super awkward. He's got 3 of them.
He may be able to split the difference and do something like cast 2 of them. So he has some for the storm count, but his hand's not bottlenecked. But it's tough. He's got to find the way to avoid the damage that Eidolon does while still making sure he has sufficient storm count down the line.
There's a Duress. Jim says, you know my grip. You want the Fire Blast? Take it. There's 1. That's 2. That's 3. Last card's a Brainstorm. All you can do is pass. Davis will untap his Lone Mountain. Take a draw. Picks up another copy of Bloodstained Mire. Now, one thing I find interesting here, does he want to go down to 18? Because, you know, that kind of tendrils math where you'd rather have him half the tendrils for 10 instead of 9?
There's an argument for it. I think the problem is that the Tendrils player, if they're in a position where they're knocking you to 1, they often have enough time to rebuild and kill you down the line in a couple turns. So the upside of Jim thinning out his deck a little bit and maybe drawing an extra spell, I think is worth it, but it's tough. The math is so thin in either direction that it's hard to say for sure.
There's an Eidolon. That's the problem for Rodrigo. And Jim will pass the turn back. Rodrigo's only card's a Brainstorm right now. Now Volcanic Island.
It's tough to approach this game now from Rodrigo's seat because he needs to find action, but also maintain a potential storm count down the line. It's hard to do both, especially against a deck that's capable of generating a kill that's so fast.
Price of Progress to draw here for Jim. Start by playing a mountain. Attack for 2. We're going upstairs. Spike will deal 3 to Rodrigo and 2 to Jim. That's 5 damage for 1 mana.
So many good deals now.
That is really good.
We're approaching Flame Rift territory.
What's next? Yeah, taking 2 to play Grim Lavamancer, that's not the best deal in Magic.
Not at this point.
No.
Second Lavamancer are much worse than the first.
Yeah. Lotus Petal the draw. There is the Volcanic. Gonna activate the Lavamancer. Looks like a tough game for Rodrigo to win.
Yeah, this is really hard.
Yeah. I mean, Eidolon is just, that represents like 8 damage or something. That's some very large amount.
It's not even just that; it's the implications for what it's doing with Rodrigo's hand. Those
That's what I
lines
mean,
on
yeah.
diamonds, those lines on diamonds just had to get cast.
Yeah.
So his storm count's low, and next turn he's probably forced to pull the trigger and start the turn with a brainstorm or something.
That's 2 more. Davis's hand, he's got a mountain and a price of progress right now.
So he can't get a 4th card into his graveyard right now because he only has 2 mountains and a price and 2 cards in his graveyard.
So I think it's just an attack here. Well, it's actually attack with Lavamancer and the Eidolon probably, right?
Yeah, you can leave one of the Lavamancers back to shoot.
And Jim is just going to take his time here and make sure he doesn't make some sort of mistake. Because there's no way to get 4 cards in the bin, as you said.
Correct.
He's got 2 in there now, and he's got a price of progress. So this is an attack for just 2. Okay.
So I think the logic here is that dealing a point of damage doesn't matter that much because Jim is dealing damage in only even intervals. And most likely Rodrigo has to kill the Eidolon to be able to do anything, which represents the 4th card in the graveyard.
Okay. That actually makes sense.
Yeah. I think that's a heads-up play by Jim.
If you're Jim, you would hate to end the game with Rodrigo at 1.
Exactly. And now, let's say Rodrigo starts off the turn and he has some way to kill an Eidolon. He has a random lightning bolt or something in his deck, or a Chain of Vapor. I guess Chain of Vapor doesn't work because that's a bounce spell. But if it's a removal spell, Rodrigo falls to 6, and then price of progress plus 2 Grim Lavamancer activations is 0.
Well, now he's 4. And Jim says, you're going to, yeah, you can blow those in response. That's fine. Brainstorm's on the stack. He says, you take 2. You go to 4 from Brainstorm.
And now Jim can finish this off.
Yep, price of progress. You take 2. And then I've got Lavamancer in play to finish you. And this demonstrates how completely absurd Eidolon is in this matchup. Rodrigo's going to sacrifice his fetch line so he doesn't take 4 directly from it. But at the end of the day, it looks like Jim Davis is going to win this game off the back of Eidolon of the Great Revel. He's going to activate Lavamancer here, and that's going to do it. So Jim Davis does win game number 1 here over Rodrigo Tagores. Burn up a game over Ad Nauseam Tendrils. The times, they are a-changin'.
Yeah, they are. And that's you know, these discard spells that the Tendrils players play, sometimes it feels like it's 6 of one, half dozen of another, but Duress versus something like Cabal Therapy, that's a big difference right there because he was not able to get the Eidolon out of Jim's hand, and that was the whole game.
Taking a look at Rodrigo's sideboard, I've got 2 Massacres, 3 Abrupt Decays, 2 Chain of Vapors, 3 Xantid Swarms, 2 Flusterstorms, 2 Crows and Grips, and a Sensei's Divining Top. Now this is where things actually get difficult, I think, for the Storm deck, is because you're horrified of Eidolon. It's very hard for you to beat, and I don't think that Rodrigo can actually go off if it's in play. So he's got to board in some number of Abrupt Decays and Chain of Vapors, but by boarding all those cards in, you risk the fact that you dilute your deck.
The other risk there is if you bring in Abrupt Decays and Chain of Vapors and Jim's draw is all burn spells, those offer you no defense.
Yeah.
So it's hard to make all the cuts. On Jim's side of the table, 2 Cedar Wildfinders, 3 Mindbreak Trap, 3 Relic of Progenitus, 3 Ashen Rider, 3 Smash Smithereens, 1 Flame Rift. So to start off, Jim's got to get 4 copies of Searing Blaze out of his deck. The Sulfuric Vortex is also not that helpful, so that gets us to 5 cards. The cards I do like in the matchup here are the Flame Rift and the 3 Mindbreak Traps, no question about that. I would like to fit in the 3 copies of Relic of Progenitus, that gets up to 7. And Smash the Smithereens is bad, but possibly tolerable. So we're looking at 7 cards we want for sure. 4 Searing Blazes out of the deck, a Sulfuric Vortex. I think we can comfortably cut 2 copies of Price of Progress. They're okay here, not great. If Jim wants to go any deeper than that and bring in the Smash the Smithereens, he can. Smash gets a little bit better in the matchup now because of Eidolon, because they're just forced to dump artifacts on the table.
We saw it in game 1.
No, you're not going to be able to deal 3 points of damage, but if you're able to tag Lion's Eye Diamonds, even Lotus Petals sometimes, that can be very good. So I think at minimum, Jim is going to be bringing in the Flame Rift, the 3 copies of Mindbreak Trap, and the 3 copies of Relic, and he may want to go a little bit deeper, bring in the Smash Smithereens as well.
Well, it should be interesting to see how he tries to sideboard here in this matchup. He's up a game, but this is really telling the effect that Eidolon the Great Rebel has had just across formats. It's pretty good in Standard, a decent little card to have in those decks. But Standard, you've got cards like Siege Rhino and bigger cards where the casting costs are just higher, you're playing longer games. But in these Eternal formats, in Modern and in Legacy, it has made the Burn deck go from fringe playable to actually just quite good.
When the games end super fast, people have to load up on cheap spells. That's just how Eternal formats work. As formats get more powerful, the casting cost of everything is pushed down because you can't get to 5 mana and cast a Wingmate Rock in Legacy. That can't happen. So Eidolon gets so much more powerful.
It's definitely an interesting thing to see happen.
Yeah.
In the context of, the burn decks, everyone looks at, burn decks as they're fine. It's a budget option, but I think Eidolon may have changed that from, it's not a budget option, it's a legitimate deck because that card has a huge effect on how players have to play against it, how they have to construct their sideboards, and everything involved in deck building.
The blue tempo matchups get a lot better for the most part. Eidolon does not always match up well against Tarmogoyf, but it does match up very well against Brainstorms and Ponders and such. Your combo matchups get a lot more tolerable, which used to be the weakest part of the Burn resume. And a lot of your good matchups stay good. Yeah. Eidolon's even good against Elves. I mean, it's troublesome for them to develop their board in the face of it.
It's quite good against them. A lot of their shenanigans you don't really get to do. The bouncing and replaying of Elvish Visionary and all that jazz. Well, that's basically off now.
Going off through Glimpse, much more challenging.
Yeah, that's a bad idea probably too.
It forces their hand to go down a natural order path.
Definitely a drastic change. We'll see if Davis is able to get the job done against Storm here, because make no mistake about it, even though Eidolon is great against this deck, don't get me wrong, I still think it's a bad matchup for Burn.
Oh, I wouldn't want to play against it.
Yeah. You're not willingly taking this on, but you do feel as though you could probably beat it now, where I don't think you felt that way before.
Something had to go wrong with their draw before. They had to fail. Now I feel like you can beat some of their reasonable hands.
That's a step in the right direction. Both players taking a bit of a look at the grip.
Jim's hand is very land heavy, and I do not believe contains Eidolon the Great Revel.
Rodrigo's at the ready. Jim is the one who looks like he's sending it back. How do you feel about mulliganing with this deck?
Well, this is another thing that's gotten better in the face of Eidolon. Before, mulliganing was so bad for this deck because it's a critical mass deck. It's also underpowered, so mulligans really hurt you. Now with Eidolon, you have something to mulligan for aggressively.
Okay.
That is a sustained source of damage and quite a lot of damage as well. So pre-Eidolon, the hand that Jim just drew, he may have to keep. But now he can afford a mulligan kind of aggressively.
Find something a little bit better.
Yeah.
Or at least find Eidolon.
Right. Or Mindbreak Trap.
It's also fine.
Another thing he can go for.
He's got some things to work with. I think that's all you can really hope for. Because I've got some things I actually want to mulligan into.
So a hand of Goblin Guide, Flame Rift, Lava Spike, 4 lands, which before maybe you just have to kind of keep those hands. Jim can afford to send those back.
Fair enough. We'll see if Jim can find one of his great cards now. Six cards coming from Mr. Davis, number 14 on our Open Series leaderboard. He's trying to get more Open Series points to get himself to Roanoke at the end of the year. And grinding away mostly in IQs, he's going to shrug his shoulders, he's going to keep it. Game 2 underway, Gitaxian Probe. Now I know what you have.
All right, 2 more.
Which is at least a mountain.
Or 2 down.
Yeah, there's a Mindbreak Trap, Goblin Guide, Grim Lavamancer, Chain Lightning, and a Bolt. On 1 land, hey, good enough.
Yep. A threat, some burn spells, a Mindbreak Trap. It's a fine 6-card hand.
Not thrilled, but again, good enough. There's a Delta. To Jim we go. Jim will draw a card. It's a mountain. That's land number 2. And we're going to guide him up. Hiya. The trigger. Sacrifice first.
I guess Rodrigo has a brainstorm
That would make sense.
because this is perplexing otherwise.
Yeah, that's a brainstorm. There it is. My favorite brainstorm. I believe that is the F&M brainstorm.
Correct.
I believe. My favorite one.
Any particular reason that's your favorite?
It's got the new card face, and it's foil.
Okay.
And I top 8 at PTQ the one time I played with it. With a Psychotog deck. Tropical Eye on the card revealed 2 Goblin Guide. 2 damage will come across. So Togores is down to 17. Actually, 15, excuse me.
Oh, the
Gitaxian
Gitaxian
Probe. Oh, it all adds up.
on the house.
That's right. You love Gitaxian Probe. See, I see through you now. This is why you love it.
It's good on both ends.
Uh-huh. Is an Infernal Tutor. What's he going to reveal? It says, you can see Cabal Therapy. I want another one of those. Looks like this is a bit of a labor of love here for our Storm player.
For sure.
Got some nice cards here.
Some 4 and black border dual lands.
Yes. Foil Cabal Rituals, foil Infernal Tutors. I love when that happens. Labor of love for Jim as well with his snow-covered mountains.
Yeah.
Something you're not in favor of. Start by attacking for 2. There's Lotus Petal. That'll stay on top. Jim's got him down to 13.
That reveal does not bode well for Jim.
Probably not, right?
Man who just tutored for a Cabal Ritual. Probably going to kill you next turn.
There's a second mountain. Davis down to 19.
Keep in mind, Rodrigo is aware of the Mind Break Trap, so he has to go off through that. But I imagine if he's Infernal tutoring for Cabal Ritual, he already has a plan.
Yep.
Some sort of duress effect he can lead in.
Seen many a Storm deck beat Mindbreak Trap.
Yeah, it's part of the reason I just cut it from my sideboard.
Yeah.
They just took it, and then they just killed me.
Yeah. Hey, I drew my sideboard card. Cool, you still lose.
All right.
Oh. I don't like that. Do you want to play Lavamancer here, or do you want to light him up with 2 burn spells?
So this goes to 7, 6, 5. I would cast the Lavamancer. Because this doesn't even put Rodrigo in lethal, even if Jim rips a 4 damage spell.
Okay.
Because he goes to 7 from the bolt, the guide attack next turn is 5, and then he has a Lavamancer, a Mind Break Trap, there's nothing to draw.
Sure. So if you play the Lavamancer this turn, and the next turn you attack, you put him down to 7, Bolt puts him to 4, then Fire Blast would kill him, or Flame Rift.
Yeah, or, you know, you can activate the Lavamancer. Yes.
Yep.
So, yeah, you have to do it like this.
All right.
The bolt's always 3. The Lavamancer is more or less, you know, so you got to cast it first. This all assumes that Jim gets another turn, which may not be happening.
Well, there's no guarantee of that.
The upshot of bolting there is it makes it harder for Rodrigo to win if he has to go off through ad nauseum.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that you aren't even threatening lethal the following turn and Rodrigo can just go off through Past in Flames instead means I think this is the correct line.
The question, of course, now is, does Rodrigo have the hand to actually go off?
If you can't get to Threshold, or if you can't get the Mind Break Trap out of the hand, it is complicated.
Yeah. He's giving it a long look. And now, there's that look. The look up to the sky, maybe doing a little bit of math.
Well, here's the thing. I think Rodrigo's aware of the fact that he has to win this turn. It's really risky to say go at this
Yeah,
stage.
just give him another one. Yeah. He does have Cabal Therapy in his hand. Cabal Therapy will be cast. Sure. Take your Mind Break Trap. Leave you with a Bolt and a Mountain. That's spell number 1.
And 5 cards in the graveyard.
Oh, see, he's even got the dice. I love a prepared Storm player more than anything in the world. I've got my dice, got my spells, got my mana, keep
Well, if
everything up to speed for you.
if
There's
you're-
the spells.
you're going to spend thousands of dollars on foils, you know, you might as well go get the dice.
Yep, that's true. Here's spell 3. Cabal Ritual. Started off with Therapy and a Lotus Petal into the Ritual. Take a look at the graveyard count. 6 cards now. Cabal Ritual will make it number 7. Cabal Ritual now has Threshold. That's spell 4. You see Jim has got his piece of paper. He's keeping track too. Wants to make sure nothing goes wrong. Lion's Eye Diamond, spell 5. Infernal Tutor. Spell 6. Will we hold priority and break the diamond? We will. There goes Tendrils and Ponder.
And this is just a Pass in Flames kill.
He's got
I
some red
would
mana
assume.
floating. Yep. I think he's got it rolled up. There is Pass in Flames. Beautiful one at that. He will use some mana here. Pass in Flames will be spell number 7. That'll allow his instants and sorceries to have flashback. Cabal Ritual will be spell number 8. Cabal Ritual will be spell number 9. And we can't forget about that Tendrils of Agony that's down there. Though Tagores may cast another spell, who knows? Gonna cast a Cabal Therapy just to make sure nothing goes wrong. Has extra mana. That's spell 10. Take your Lightning Bolt. See you later, Alligator. Reach for my Tendrils. That's for 22. That's a W for Rodrigo Tagores. Game 3 on the way.
And that's the difference between Mind Ready Track and Eidolon in the matchup. Sitting with something reactive in your hand is so much worse than putting something into play.
It is night and day, as they say.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm kind of with you. I used to play Mind Ready Track with Goblins. Didn't do all that much either.
Yeah, no, they just know about it, and they take it, then they kill you.
I think they're very used to beating it, too. It's a go-to sideboard card for a lot of people, and when it works, it's quite good, but it doesn't work all the time because they leave their discard in no matter what.
Yeah.
In some capacity. You don't know if they're going to leave all 5 or 6, but there's some in there.
I mean, there's no harm on their side. Usually if they're hitting you with the discard spell, they're taking a turn off your clock. So no reason not to.
It makes sense to leave it in. So oftentimes they do. It's a good way to just kind of counteract what the opponent's doing. So we'll see if Jim tries to re-sideboard here. Tagores is going back to the well here as well. See if he wants to change anything up. Looks like Jim does want to move some things in and out here. I think Jim has access to relics in his board.
Yeah.
He might go that way.
No, I think the relics are coming in. The question for me is if Smash was coming in. And it looks like the answer is no.
Do you think it should?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think I cut the Vortex, the 4 copies of Searing Blaze, and 2 copies of Price of Progress for Flame Rift, 3 Relic, 3 Mindbreak Trap.
All right. How often have you beaten Storm?
Oh. I don't...
Bit of a loaded question there, I guess.
I don't know exactly.
Not too often,
Not
probably.
too often.
Yeah.
Not too often.
I suppose it's not impossible. It is kind of tough, though.
Well, your best draws, they can kill on turn 3. Turn 4 is fairly consistent. So if they fumble around for too long, you can win that way. But it's a really hard matchup. I have not gotten to play it myself post Eidolon the Great Revel, though. So I can get some revenge.
Yeah, you get to win a game instead of getting swept.
Better than nothing. Better than nothing. One of my open top 8s with Burn, I was dispatched by Storm. Got killed on turn 1, game 3.
Pleasure playing you.
Yep.
You're not alive anymore.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
But Storm has been kept in check quite a bit in Legacy. Feels like over the past year.
Well, it's just got a tough matchup with the tempo decks, Beating a clock plus days, it's hard to do.
Yeah.
The Masters can do it, your best draws can do it, but the most prevalent matchup in the room, generally speaking, is not something you want to run into.
Though, We've only seen one Delver deck today.
We'll get to see what the top 8 looks like.
We'll probably see some there.
Often it's different.
We oftentimes see some there. We could have some juicy combo decks, though.
Yeah, oh yeah. No,
Oof.
there's been a lot of them floating around.
Oof, ah. Jim gonna shuffle up here. Again, we don't know if Jim makes top 8 with a W. Not positive. We'll find out, though.
Rodrigo, on the other hand, should be not only is
Lock
he
it up.
good, but may have quite a high seed.
Yeah, might be the #1 overall seed.
I don't think he can do that. There is an undefeated player currently.
Oh.
Yeah,
I like it.
a Ben Glancy, 7-0.
I do wonder what Burton Senior is playing. I imagine Deathblade still.
Usually some sort of Stoneforge Mystic deck.
Yeah. He's had most of his success with that, especially Esper Deathblade. I know he did dabble in Shardless Sultai for a little, and he said he hated it. Though I don't even know how much of a deck that is anymore because Treasure Cruise now.
You have to totally modify what you're doing. It's
Yeah.
not clear with Ancestral Visions if the juice is worth the squeeze anymore.
I'm not sold that it is. I liked that deck too.
Well, you can always modify it, you know? It's just Ancestral Visions is probably not worth it anymore.
Yeah.
Players with Ben Delancey, please report to the stage. Ben
We'll see if Burninator can get it done one more time, or will we have a Storm deck in our top 8 this evening? Either way, whichever deck's in the top 8, it's going to go fast.
It's gonna, yeah, it speeds it up.
Yeah, it'll speed up the top 8 a little bit. Dave's going to lay out a 7. He's on the play, looking for Eidolon. Not even so much looking for Mindbreak Trap. Looking for Eidolon.
Yeah, Mindbreak Trap is not bad to draw the turn before they're going to go off.
That's
Having
the
it stuck
trick.
in your hand is not great.
That's the trick, right? There's a Bolt over there.
I think Jim's hand has an Eidolon here. And the reason that he's tanking,
One land.
nope. He does not want to get therapied on Eidolon on turn 1.
I suppose it is appropriate. Like, if your hand has Eidolon and 2 lands, you're going to keep your hand, but you don't want to be like Snap Keep.
Yeah.
Because that kind of gives it away.
You don't want to draw up your Mountain Eidolon as your first 3 cards and say, keep it.
Yeah. Other 4 don't matter. Here's a Delta.
I think no matter what Jim's body language is like, Rodrigo's just going to therapy on Eidolon if he can.
I imagine that's true. It's a Preordain. Time to go Cantrippin'. Take a look at the top 2. Dark Ritual, Mystery card. You see Rodrigo does have a copy of Chain of Vapor in the grip.
And Abrupt Decay, so
Yeah.
he can win the Eidolon fight.
Keep them both. It's got to be a little scary. Activate the Relic, get rid of the land. Back to Davis we will go. Relic is here, of course, to stop the Pass and Flames kill. Or at least try. Another copy of Relic. Activate that. Get rid of the Preordain. There's a Mountain. There's Eidolon. Let's see if it can get the job done. Tagores draws a copy of Dark Ritual. This is a this is a Ponder, 2 to you. Preordain was cast the previous turn. 2. 3 Tropical Island among the cards.
And Relic plus Eidolon is a nice little combo because Relic says you can't go off with Pass and Flames, and Eidolon saying ad nauseum is going to get a lot more complicated.
That's true.
Try to squeeze them on both sides.
Long thought here on the Ponder. Yep, we keep him. There's a Trop. I just passed the turn back. See the Duress there in Tagores' hand.
Doesn't want to cast that right now.
Probably not the best.
Wants to get the Eidolon off the table, duress to see if the close is clear, and then go. And he probably wants to do this over the course of 1 turn. Jim's end step into his own turn.
Relic will take care of the Ponder. See Riftbolt there in Davis's hand. Going to start by attacking for 2. Tagores goes down to 15. Davis will suspend. Riftbolt will fire off next turn.
And Jim's hand is loaded.
He's got Bolt, Fire Blast, Relic. That's a pretty good hand. And Tagores does not fire off Chain of Vapor.
If Tagores casts a spell, this is lethal next turn. He goes to 13. Riftbolt is 10. Bolt, Fire Blast is 10.
Well, you know that math.
I do. I do. Multiples of 3, and then when Fire Blast is in the hand, you add 1, and those are your break points.
That's it.
So I don't know if Tagores realizes how much trouble he's in right now, but he has to go off this turn through the Eidolon. And a Relic.
Easier said than done.
This is going to be tough.
Though I have seen stranger things happen.
If I'm in Jim's seat, based on my history with Storm, I feel like I'm losing this game 100% of the time.
Yeah.
But it does look good right now.
When they have all their cards fanned out like that, it's scary.
And Tagores might have underestimated the trouble that he was in because he said he did not Chain of Vapor.
Go to discard. And Jim is going to bolt him. So I think he greatly underestimated the danger that he's in. Here's Riftbolt. Jim will take 2.
Yeah,
Rodrigo will take 3.
Rodrigo actually needed a Chain of Vapor and hope he could win that turn. That was the only way he could do this because Jim's hand is all rolled up.
And I didn't realize how strong Jim's hand is. And I activate the Relic. Drew another copy of Eidolon. Start by attacking for 2. There's an Abrupt Gate. Well, you take 2 for that anyway. Down to 7. There goes the Eidolon. This is bolt number 1. Down to 4. And bolt number 2, maybe not. Just how about a Fire Blast you? You're a Storm deck. I can't imagine you have counter magic. That's going to do it. Jim Davis is going to win this match over Rodrigo Tagores. 2-1. Burn with a little bit of a better matchup against Ad Nauseam Tendrils now.